Amazing job, Michael Bay. You've done it. More explosions ever in any movie ever in the history of time. Hi guys, this is Bob for Bob's Movie Reviews, and today I'm reviewing for you Transformers 4 Dawn of Extinction, I think is the title. I totally went blank as soon as I got here, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So, I just saw this in theaters. I got to see it on Thursday night, which is rare for me, but I'm excited to bring you guys this review. I'm just going to get this out of the way right now. If you enjoy this video, leave a like and a comment below, and if you really enjoy it, subscribe to my channel to see more videos by me. So first off, I'm going to go over the two people you've probably heard of in this movie, talk about the positives and negatives, and whether I feel you should go see this movie. Mark Wahlberg is basically the star, and Kelsey Grammer is almost the co-star maybe. I didn't even know Kelsey Grammer was in this. Was he in the previews? I don't remember seeing him. He is one of the villains, and Mark Wahlberg is kind of like your main hero of the movie. I always liked Mark Wahlberg. I thought he was pretty good in most movies. This one, iffy. I don't know that I would say I loved him in this movie. Did I like him on Shia LaBeouf? Yes. But I didn't love him in this movie. Kelsey Grammer was okay. Nothing to complain about with him. He played a pretty good bad guy. Maybe he's going to be a bad guy in Expendables 3. We'll have to wait and see. But, so this movie, to me, is kind of like, it has multiple plot lines, which I think if they had developed one better, it would be a better movie than if they had, I don't know, 20, 40, I don't know, or two. I'm not sure how many plot lines there were. There were too many. So there's no Sam Witwicky, and I'm pretty sure they called this movie Transformers 4. Pretty sure it was called Transformers 4. When I looked at the theater, the poster did not say Transformers 4, but I'm pretty sure they had artwork and stuff that had a 4 on it. Correct me if I'm wrong. So to me, to not even mention the lead character of the first three, and to have no explanation to what happened to him, kind of is like, even though I hate Shia LaBeouf, it's just kind of like, well, screw the first three movies, you know? So, starts off with Mark Wahlberg. This is some point in the future. I don't believe it ever said. It kind of almost feels like it's been several years, you know, 10, 15 years, although I don't think it's supposed to take place that far in the future. I'm not sure they really thought this through. But people are encouraged to turn aliens, and by aliens I mean Transformers, into the authorities. They're after them, and there's possibly rewards. Sounds like a lot of people are out of work, you know, more than just the recession. Mark Wahlberg is like a handyman who fixes electronics and also invents new electronics out of junk. I don't know. It was kind of a stupid idea. But he's basically poor, raising his daughter on his own. Their house is like foreclosed, but they still live in it. And he finds a semi inside of a movie theater. Right? Like, why was there a semi in there? And how did nobody notice? It's like an old broke down one. And he buys it to try to repair it. Well, it turns out to be Optimus Prime. And this is where I kind of feel like the trailers were misleading. And what the movie was even about, because it's called Dawn of Extinction, and in it they make it to be like there's this alien invasion, not necessarily Transformers, maybe Decepticons. It's really hard to say from the trailer. They're coming in, and you see that scene where they're like just sucking everything up into the ship, and it looks kind of like they're just trying to take everything off the Earth, kind of like on Independence Day, where they want all the natural resources maybe. And they're going to kill every human, you know, maybe by sucking them up, maybe by just killing them to get the resources. It's not clear in the trailer. But the movie's not about this at all. That's not even at all. It's totally out of context. The way they put the lines in there, it's not about that at all. So there's this group, there's this company first called CSI or something like that. I can't remember the exact lettering. They're basically developing their own Transformer-ish robots. And there is Kelsey Grammer, who, I don't know, he said he used to work for the CIA, but maybe he still does. Maybe I misunderstood that. And he's like taking out all the Transformers, but people don't know that he's also taking out the Autobots. It's kind of this whole thing, and then there's like more villains, and there's more explosions, and then you're like, oh, that's my baby daddy, and there's another explosion, and she's like, oh, I have a boyfriend, and then more explosions. There's a lot of explosions. So, you know, then the Autobots, of course, they get dragged back into the fight, and even though they don't want to be, there kind of is a different tone where the Autobots kind of are starting to not care so much about humans. Optimus Prime has really gotten tired of them. I mean, it's the 4th movie already, and they basically try to turn on him in the second 3, you know, or the second 2, and now this one, and it's like, he's like, why are we helping the humans? All they do is try to, you know, they want to kill us or capture us or get rid of us, you know, they're never on our side. And a lot of the Autobots seem to be agreeing. So I think that's pretty good on that without giving away the exact story and the exact plot. You know, kind of get you in the mood. So let's talk about the things I didn't like and the things I liked. So, like I said, no mention of Sam Witwicky, what happened to him or his family. Kind of vague on when this movie is taking place. The only Autobots left are Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. Now, my wife, she always says, oh, the Bumblebee's going to die, or this is going to happen to Bumblebee, you know. And I always say, Bumblebee is the most popular Transformer, you know, especially since the movies came out. They're not going to kill him off because they know so many people get upset. But then, in this one, he had a really small part. He's not in it a lot, so I was pretty surprised by that. Whether I'm a huge Bumblebee fan or not, you know, maybe not, but so then so they're the only two that we're really used to, except for that little weird haired guy. He's in it a little, but they also have a very different look. Now, I know you can say, you know, oh, they scan different cars, they become different cars in different movies. Okay, but their heads look different, their faces look different, and those aren't part of the cars. So, Optimus Prime, you know, he has the Batman-style head with the ears. It's just different. Their legs look a lot different. Bumblebee's face is a different shape, kind of. You know, you could see where it's similar, but how it's also changed. And to me, I don't really understand. It feels like they're kind of pushing the other ones aside, and almost this is like a cheap spoof version or something, you know, where things are similar, but everything's changed. Also, did not understand this at all. Optimus Prime, he is the rusted junk truck at the beginning because they don't show it, but he became that, you know. Obviously, if he's the red and blue semi with the chrome pipes, everybody knows who that is, so he becomes this junky old rusted down junk to hide. And Bumblebee starts out as late 60s Camaro, but with like a wide body kit. It was custom for sure. And then later they scan cars. Now Optimus Prime scans a semi, and he doesn't look anything like the semi he scans. You only see the back of it as it's driving by, but it's white, and he becomes the blue with red flame semi, which I'm like, what? Because every time we see him scan them, they always become the same car, you know. We don't see them become customized versions of the car. And then later on, Bumblebee scans a Camaro, and he becomes I'm pretty sure, a different Camaro. It didn't make sense to me, so I didn't like that. Like I said, the story kind of just goes off in like there's multiple villains, I think, is the problem. I think it should just been one, focus on that, but whatever. To me, I felt like the story was kind of boring, the movie was kind of boring. It was like 2 hours long, it just kept dragging on. What was I going to say? Okay, now if you remember Skids and Mudflap, and everybody hated them, they were so annoying, and they were like just this racist portrayal in robot form. Well, some of this movie takes place in Hong Kong, so guess what one of the Autobots is? He's a freaking samurai! A samurai! He has swords, He's got like the whole samurai head thing. He speaks with like an Asian accent. He's like speaking in haiku. It's like, what? They're just doing it all over again. Michael Bay just does not care. He'll do whatever he wants. He doesn't care what people think of his movies. They just make money. That also being said, the samurai was a dual changer. I don't know if there's a term for it. He could change into a helicopter, which was not like any helicopter I've ever seen. It makes you wonder like what he scanned to become it. And he also turns into a Bugatti. Now, if you aren't familiar with the cartoon, you might be like, where? But they did have dual changers in the cartoon. There weren't very many of them, and they were mostly the bigger ones, but they did have them, so I'll give them that. It was actually in the Transformers cartoon. There's another one, too. He had a robe or cape, and it was metal, and I'm like, what? Why is he wearing that? It didn't even... They're just stupid. And then for some reason now, some of them have human-looking faces. Like you would think they were just humans instead of robots, besides the fact that they're metal and they have their mechanical bodies. But they have a more human look, and I don't understand why that is. So I just kind of felt like there's a lot of things that if you are a fan of the Transformers, you're going to question a lot of things in this movie, and they're not going to make sense. They tried to add humor to this, failed brilliantly. You're not going to laugh. If you laugh, there's probably something wrong with you, and you should seek medical treatment. But, so, that's kind of like the things I didn't like. It just, to me, it wasn't that great. Now, there's a few things I did like. This movie does have a few things to save it. I almost forgot. Probably the biggest thing, if you came to this movie just for the Dinobots, you know, if you were big into the cartoon, you're like, yeah, I remember when they made those Dinobots. And I've talked about this before, but when they came up with the Dinobot idea in the cartoon, they needed more Autobots because they were like greatly outnumbered. And I don't remember who it was. It's been a while since I've seen it, but they were like, you know, let's make some more Autobots to help us. So they took their spare parts, you know, oh, here's a tire, here's a bolt. Now they're going to be really stupid because we really don't have all the right parts. We want them to be big and strong. Yeah, I think they'll just be dinosaurs. That makes sense. Dinosaurs, they're stupid and big and strong. We'll call them the Dinobots. They won't necessarily be Autobots because they don't feel like they're part of us. But when we need their help, they'll come help us. So I talked about this with a lot of people. I said, you know, how are they going to bring the Autobots? How are they going to bring the Dinobots into this movie and make it make sense? Now, so far, they haven't really kept that close to the cartoon, although they've taken ideas and the names and they kind of just come up with their own stuff. And I was like, well, are they going to really... And in the preview, they were like, Optimus Prime was like, we need a new army or we need something. And then they're like, then they show the Dinobots. And I was like, okay, but how are they going to explain building the Dinobots? How is that going to make any sense? But don't worry, they avoided that whole catastrophe and they just show up without being built. And they aren't even called the Dinobots. I think at one point, like, Optimus says something in a different language, and then it says the Legends, and then he calls them the Legendary Warriors, or it was something about a legend and a warrior. So they're not called the Dinobots. They don't ever use any of their names. You know, I don't know if everybody thinks the main one is Grimlock because he was the one that looked kind of like a T-Rex, and he was like the leader of the Dinobots. And he looks like a T-Rex in this one, but they don't ever call him Grimlock. I don't remember the other names. I think Sludge was one. I can't remember. I mean, in the movie, there is the one that looks like a T-Rex, and it's freaking huge. Now, the Dinobots weren't, as I remember, any bigger than the Autobots, but they're like 20 times larger in this. There's like a pterodactyl, a T-Rex, and a stegosaur, and then but they don't really look quite right. Like, some of them have like just spikes everywhere, and I don't know. I did not like them. like all they do too once they come out is they just start running through everything and like just eating everything. It was, to me, it was just like a stupid, hey, let's get some fans back in the show. Let's bring back the Dinobots, but then let's just screw them up completely so we piss them off even more. So, alright, I complained enough, I guess. So let's talk about the things I did like. It's a short list. As far as action in this movie goes, I almost don't remember any scenes where there weren't action. It's just non-stop action. But it does focus a lot more on the humans. You don't see the robots quite as much till towards the end. It's a lot about the humans. But there's tons of fighting between humans and robots, robot aliens. I don't even know. I don't even want to say everything because it'd be giving away too much. But humans fighting, robots fighting, Dinobots fighting. Chase scenes, tons of chase scenes. I would estimate anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000 explosions. So plenty of action to keep you occupied. If you can get past the fact that the movie sucks, there is plenty of action to be had. Definitely looked good. I have no complaints on the looks. Also, the final battle, I really liked it. I thought it was good. Kind of everybody teams up and comes together, and it's good. So before I end this, I would like to say it does definitely leave a sequel open, as if we believed there wasn't going to be a sequel. It ends basically where the next movie would start. I mean, there's no hiding that there's possibly a sequel. They've already established the story for the next movie. Also, this one was kind of almost an origin story, but it feels like they're like, let's do like an origin story, and then they gave up halfway, and they're like, we'll just put that in the sequel. So it almost is an origins, but not. So they failed there. So what do I think you guys should do? Everybody's going to be seeing this. If you got to talk to them about it, if you want to be on the conversations, like I said, there's plenty of action to keep the men busy. Promise of 5 minutes of Dinobots. Other than that, I don't recommend going to see this just because it's not that interesting of a story. There's so many holes in the plot. There's so many holes in the fiction of the Autobots, of what's going on in this movie, and I just really did not like this. Where would I rate this in the history of the Transformers movies? I would say this is the second worst. I would say 1, 3, 2, 4 would be my order, because I didn't care for it. Maybe it was the new cast. I don't know. The story didn't feel the same. There wasn't that cool. There wasn't that cool Bumblebee, Sam Witwicky thing. There wasn't the love story. There wasn't much to keep you interested in this movie, other than Mark Wahlberg and his daughter and her boyfriend's love-hate relationship, and the terrible, terrible jokes throughout the movie that make you not laugh. I forgot to mention it too. I don't know what his name is, but they actually replaced Sam Witwicky with another guy who annoys me in this movie just as much. It didn't really do me any good to get rid of him. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.